for a very simple reason. This is about truth. And today, the Senate will vote on whether witnesses and documents are allowed in this trial. The importance of this vote is self-evident. Trials have witnesses. Trials have documents. The vote today is about whether the Senate will have a fair trial of the President of the United States.
Exactly.
So it's deeply disturbing that on something of such importance to the future of our democracy, a few of my Republican colleagues announced last night they vote against hearing additional evidence. It's clear where the American people stand on the issue. Republican senators who decide to go against the will of the people will have to reckon with it. The result of today's vote is still an open question. But I would note that even in Senator Alexander's statement announcing his opposition to new evidence, he said that it was proven that the president did what he was accused of.
Right.
He came to the wrong conclusion about hearing evidence in this trial. That's clear. But Senator Alexander, a senior Senate Republican, a retiring member, said out loud that I think most Senate Republicans believe in private. That yes, the president did withhold military assistance to try to get Ukraine to help him in his elections.
Right.
And yes, the president did interfere with congressional investigations of that misconduct. He said, yes, the president conditioned foreign aid at a White House meeting with an ally at war.
Right.
On the performance of bogus investigations that would help his reelection.
Right.
Alexander rejected 90% of the argument from the president's counsel that the president did nothing wrong.
There you go.
He acknowledged that the president did something that the founders feared most: the potential corruption of our national elections by a foreign power.
You got that right.
Solicited by none other than our own president. And to hide that gross misconduct, the White House exhausted every legal trick in the book to prevent Congress from investigating. If my Republican colleagues refuse to even consider witnesses and documents in this trial, this country is headed towards the greatest cover-up since Watergate. If my Republican colleagues refuse to even consider witnesses and documents in the trial, what will the president conclude? We all know he'll conclude he can do it again, and Congress can do nothing about it.
Or won't do nothing about it.
He can try to cheat in his election again. Something that eats at the roots of our democracy. And one more point, a point I've been making for weeks, but is most relevant today. If my Republican colleagues refuse to consider witnesses and documents in this trial, the president's acquittal will be meaningless because it will be the result of a sham trial.
You got that right.
If there are no witnesses, no documents in this trial, there will be a permanent asterisk next to the acquittal of President Trump, written in permanent ink.
A backwoods kangaroo court type setting. That may look good on paper, but deep down inside, everybody's going to know. They're going to know why Donald Trump done what Donald Trump done. Whenever we as an American society get to the point that we cannot be straight shooters in calling white, white, and black, black, towards doing, obviously, one or two things. You either do the wrong thing or the right thing. Whenever we as a society can see the handwriting on the wall, such as Daniel did in the book of Daniel, and we continue to ignore the handwriting on the wall, then we as a society are heading towards a calamity that could very well exceed the same calamity that right now looks like China is fixing to head towards, pertaining to the coronavirus crisis that is now not only affecting China, but could very well be affecting other parts of the planet, including the United States of America. We must stay focused upon the truth. That is what our founders founded our Constitution off of. Do you swear to tell nothing but the truth, the whole truth, so help us God? When you deviate from that truth, or you take the truth and manipulate the truth and call black, white, black, then it's no longer the truth. Then it's a corrupted, manipulated, so-called truth. It's no longer the truth. And that's whenever the intervention of God steps in towards showing you how you're going to eat the cabbage. Because that has been the only thing that has protected us from a complete, total breakdown of society over here in America, is because there has been certain people, certain individuals, that still wanted to obey by the rule of the law pertaining to the word truth. Now, obviously, just like my personal testimony, there's been people that has questioned the truth. Even though I've got paper to validate, to prove every incident that has occurred in my life, regardless whether it was just regular operations or incidences that I've had with various law enforcement agencies spread throughout this country. I have got proof to validate it. But you're still going to have certain people that's going to try to say the sun, the literal sun, the sun that shines in the sky during the daytime. You're going to have a certain amount of people out there that's going to argue with you to say, no, the sun is not orange. The sun is a different color other than it being orange. You're the one who declared it as it being orange. And just because you're the one that declared it as it being orange doesn't necessarily mean that the color content is orange. You're going to have a certain amount of people out there that are so mixed up, that are so confused, that are so perverted, that they wouldn't acknowledge the truth if they was to stumble over it. They would not know the truth if they was to fall over it. Or if they did know the truth, they wouldn't admit to the truth. Because they are that messed up in their minds. Whenever a society gets to the point that it can no longer declare the truth versus a lie versus the truth, that's whenever the Almighty steps in and He'll show you what it means to be truthful and to be honest. He'll show you how the cow is going to eat the cabbage. And that is the suprecasis where we are at right now towards fixing to walk off into. So let that be a fair, open gesture before the end of the day in regards to all this bamboozle, hokey pokey. And that's exactly what it is. It's hokey pokey stuff going on to deviate around from the truth. Providing that it is the truth that Donald Trump had wrong intentions, wrong motives in doing what he done towards stopping the aid going to one of our allies that was engaged in major warfare pertaining to one of our combatants, one of our enemies, which has always been Russia, because Russia has never stood up for free, open, fair democracy. They have always stood firm in their communism, oligarch, wanting to control their citizens out of fear and intimidation and infuriation. They have always been rootless whenever it comes to the fairness of their own citizens, their own society.
So, Senate Republicans face a choice today between seeking the truth and covering it up, between a fair trial and a farce, between country and party. No matter what the results of today's vote, I believe the truth will eventually come out. My Republican colleagues should think about that before they vote today.
But is it going to come out whenever it really doesn't matter? In other words, after the trial is over with, under the statute of limitations, you can't try a person twice for the same crime. That's called double jeopardy. Okay? So under the statute of limitations, is it going to matter that the truth comes out after the trial? Because after the trial, you can't go back and retry. That's where they're trying to say that there's an indifference pertaining to the truth that finally come out about the Oklahoma proceedings, even though there is no statute of limitations pertaining to murder, pertaining to gross negligence. Once more, what you have here is a conflict of interpretation about the Constitution. I personally think, because of all the evidence that's been brought out since the Oklahoma bombing, there should be another trial that would, in fact, shed more light on just exactly who was at fault. That way, the victims could be treated like they need to be treated, just like the victims up in New York City that they tried to withhold aid for. Firemen, policemen, people that was willing to put their lives on the line, do exactly what the American people asked them to do, and the next thing you know, they tried to withhold their aid. What the hell is wrong with that picture? Mixed up bunch. A bunch that don't know their asses from their hole in the ground. And at least this man right here is trying to get to the point, trying to get to the bottom of it. He's trying to find out where we stand with the decision of Donald Trump in him withholding precious aid to an ally that was engaged in warfare. It'd been different if the Ukrainians was not engaged in warfare and he done this. That would have been a completely different set of rules, a completely different entity. But you're talking about withholding aid to a group of people that we have done already sworn off on towards them being our allies. Our allies need us. We're the big brother. They're the little brother coming into the arena, coming into the picture, being a good, fair, open democracy, the same as we are towards being able to vote in and out the people that they don't want and the people that they do want. And now all of a sudden you're going to have a president that withholds aid from that group of people that they have made a sworn allegiance to. In other words, they made a sworn allegiance to us because of what we believe in. We've made a sworn allegiance to them because they have made a sworn allegiance to us in partnerships towards being our ally. And now all of a sudden you're going to turn your back on these people? Because why? Because why? Because of one person that had some sort of personal vendetta against one of his rivals that he thought that if we could scrape up enough information on, maybe it would shame him plumb out of the picture towards running against Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump that insecure that he has to play by this set of rules, providing that he's guilty of playing by this set of rules? That's the $1 million question here, folks. Let's not try to fool nobody. Lamar Alexander has done already admitted to 3 or 4 main facts. But his prognosis was way off. Way off.
Day, the truth will eventually come out. We could vote to see the truth in this trial, or it could come out in a few weeks or a few months. And on that day, every Republican who voted to hide the truth in an impeachment trial of the president will have to answer for it. Senator Murray.
Let's go to Maya. That was Chuck Schumer, of course. And, you know, I've been following politics, and I look at it, you look at it as a legal professional, and I'm looking at it.
20 points down, around 1.5% at this stage. It's following you.
I didn't want to interrupt. Felt like a West Wing moment.
Take 10 seconds to lower the cost of your prescriptions.
Of course, the coronavirus outbreak, and as well.
It was a simple installation, very neatly installed.
Spreading to the markets. We're going to take a quick break here on the show, but still to come. Today's the day that some.
I'm going to leave it there with my viewers because it's really it's remarkable that people can try to play
too fast enough. Others
try to play people
will
for
likely
fools.
qualify for tax credits and
Going to try to play people for a bunch of fools. You know, we was born at night. But the thing about it is, we wasn't born last night in these affairs towards watching what has happened. How the slip of the hands try to fool the American people. And that's one of the reasons why that we're in the shape that we're in right now, is because of the slip of the hands. You know, we're tired of these acrobatic magician tactics that are being played on the American people, because as these tactics continue to be played upon to the American people, we realize that, you know, maybe it's not so much going to be consequential in our lives towards us having to face off on whatever is going to be fallen upon to the American government as well as the American people. But how about our children and our grandchildren and their children? What's going to be fallen upon to their lives because of us not paying close enough attention in these affairs that we, us, the society that's breathing and talking and alive right now. I mean, I don't want to stand in the hereafter and hear millions and millions of people say, J.V., you knew what was going on. Why didn't you stand up and oppose these type of activities that has brought such of a burden upon to our lives, to the point that we had to deal what we are dealing with the way that we had to deal with it after you was already dead and gone, after you wasn't no longer in the world. We had to deal with all these problems that your generation helped to bring upon our generation. Why, Juby? Why? Why didn't you stand up? Why didn't you have the courage? You had the tools, you had the methods, you had the knowledge. Why didn't you do the right thing? I don't want to hear millions, possibly billions, if not trillions of people that's going to stand up and point their finger at me in the hereafter, and me be held accountable for their indifferences and for their anguish that they had to go through. Because I can already feel and see the anguish that has befallen upon to us as a society already here in America pertaining to the working class and the poor class. And to think that it's other people that has sat on their hands and become idle that has allowed for this to evolve the way that it has speaks volumes about those type of people that remain silent, that wouldn't put in their 2 cents, that refuse to stand up and oppose this type of tyranny. Those are the people that will give an account one day towards how come they didn't stand united against this type of injustice. But I can't give an account for them right now. The only person that I can give an account for is myself. And I'm going to stand. Though I may stand alone, I'm going to stand in the image and in the shadows of true, authentic justice. And if people don't like it, that's fine. If people do like it, that's fine too. Because this is part of the privileges that I have as an American citizen towards me being able to validate my case and to speak my mind in these regards. Good luck to all of us. Today is a very, very important day pertaining to the impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump and our open, fair democracy. Today is a very important day. Shalom and good luck to all of us.